Welcome to Derektronic, where we experiment, learn, and build with electronics. Today, we will be studying rectifiers. What are rectifiers? Some of you may ask. These are electrical circuits that converts an AC or alternating current input signal to DC or direct current on its output. We will be building a full-wave rectifier later on this video and study its electrical characteristics. In our day-to-day lives, we have used devices that contains rectifiers, the most common of which are the chargers of our smartphones and the adapters of our laptops or tablets. These devices, when plugged to a wall socket, will convert the alternating current flowing out of that socket to direct current on its output, the terminals connected to our smartphones, tablets, or laptops. Now, before we go into the actual construction of a full-wave rectifier, let us have some theoretical background about it first. Rectifiers contain an active component known as a diode. These components, when connected properly to a power supply, will allow current to pass through it in one direction only. Here, you can see that the direction of the current is from the diode's P junction to its N junction. It may be worthwhile to note that the P junction of the diode is also known as its anode, while the N junction is known as its cathode. The diode will allow current to pass through it if it is in forward bias. As we can see here, a diode is in forward bias if its anode is connected to the positive terminal of the power supply and its cathode is connected to the power supply's negative terminal. Here, the current generated by the power supply will pass freely through the diode from its P junction to its N junction or from its anode to its cathode. When the connection of the power supply to the diode gets reversed, the diode is said to be in reverse bias. At this condition, the diode has a very small leakage current passing through it, normally in the nanoampere range. With this little amount of current flowing through the diode, we can safely assume that the diode is effectively blocking the current generated by the power supply, rendering that branch of the circuit where the diode is connected open. Rectifiers come in two types: the half-wave rectifier and the full-wave rectifier. A basic construction of the half-wave rectifier is shown here. It uses a single diode where its anode, the diode's anode, is connected to an AC power supply and its cathode is connected to a load. In this circuit, the load is a resistor. When an AC input signal is applied to this circuit, which comes from the power source, the diode will behave in this manner. During the positive half cycle, the diode is in forward bias. At this condition, the current coming from the power source will pass through the diode and through the load resistor. And when this happens, there will be a voltage at the load. However, during the negative half cycle of the input signal, the diode here will be in reverse bias. As mentioned in the previous slide, any diode in reverse bias is actually effectively blocking current coming from a power source. In this case, the current coming from the power source, the AC power source here, will get blocked by the diode and will not be allowed to pass through the load resistor. This would result in 0 volts measured at the load. Therefore, the output waveform at the load would look like this. As we can see here on the output waveform shown, during the positive half cycle of the input signal, there is voltage on the load. However, during the negative half cycle of the power source, the voltage on the load is 0. The reason there being, the diode here is in reverse bias and there's no current flowing through that load resistor. A full-wave rectifier, on the other hand, makes use of multiple diodes. There are two popular implementations of this circuit. The first one, the one shown at the top, is the full wave bridge rectifier. This is the circuit we will be constructing later on this video. The one at the bottom is a center tap transformer implementation of the full wave rectifier. On both implementation, the arrangement of the diodes in the full wave bridge rectifier and in the center tap transformer implementation will allow current to flow to the load in both the positive and negative half cycles, the direction of which in both cycles are the same. This would result into an output waveform shown here. As we can see in this output waveform, during the positive half cycle of the input signal, there is voltage on the load. However, during the negative half cycle, unlike in the half-wave rectifier, there is still a positive voltage, not a negative one, on the load. Why is it in the positive side? Because the direction of the current through the load resistor is the same, whether the input signal is in the positive half cycle or in its negative half cycle. Now, let's take a closer look at the center tap transformer. How is a center tap transformer implementation doing that? During the positive half cycle, diode 1 is in forward bias. Diode 2 is in reverse bias. Therefore, the current coming out of that transformer will pass through diode 1 and through the load resistor, going to ground. However, during the negative half cycle of the input signal, it is diode 2 that is in forward bias. Diode 1, on the other hand, is in reverse bias. Therefore, the current coming out of that transformer will pass through diode 2 this time around and through the load resistor in the same direction as that of diode 1. Therefore, the output waveform coming out of this circuit would look similar to the one shown here below. As mentioned on the previous slide, we will be implementing a full wave bridge rectifier in this video. At first, we will construct the full wave bridge rectifier without a filter. As we saw in the previous slide, a full wave bridge rectifier has 4 diodes. You have diode 1 and diode 2 in this circuit on the first branch of the bridge, and diode 3 and diode 4 on this circuit on the bridge second branch. As we can see here, the cathodes of diode 1 and 2 will be connected in this manner. They will be facing away from each other. On the other branch, the cathodes of diode 3 and 4, on the other hand, will be connected in such a way wherein they are facing each other. The cathode of diode 1 and the anode of diode 3 will be connected to the positive or the output of the function generator or our AC power supply, while the cathode of diode 2 and the anode of diode 4 will be connected to ground. Now, the output resistor, in this case we will be using a 4.7 kilo ohm resistor, will be connected to the output terminals of a typical bridge circuit, which is in between diodes 1 and 2 and between diode 3 and 4. On the breadboard, the circuit would look like this. We have diodes 1 and 2 here on the first branch of the circuit or of the bridge, and diode 3 and 4 here at the second branch of the bridge. A typical silicon diode would normally have the cathodes marked with a white stripe, as you can see here on the 4 diodes here. So the ones with the white stripe, that's the cathode side of the diode. So for the first branch here, the cathodes of diode 1 and 2 are supposed to be facing away from each other. And on the second branch, the cathodes of diodes 3 and 4 will be facing to each other, similar to the circuit shown on the previous slide. The resistor, the output resistor, the 4.7 kilo ohm resistor shown earlier, will be connected on the typical output terminals of bridge circuits, which is, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is between diodes 1 and 2 and the other one, or the other leg of the resistor, will be connected to between diodes 3 and 4. To construct our full wave bridge rectifier, we will be using this COM3Lab protoboard. This protoboard is equipped with the following: a function generator here on the left for AC power supply, two sections for DC power supply. The one here at the top is for fixed DC supplies, and the one here at the bottom is for variable DC supply. It also has two multimeters. See here, one here and one here, each of which is capable of measuring voltage, current, and resistance. Lastly, we have the oscilloscope here for our waveforms. In this particular video, I will be using the function generator here on the left and the oscilloscope there at top to generate the input and output waveforms for our full wave bridge rectifier. Let's start with the function generator here. I would need to connect the function generator first to the breadboard you see here at the middle. The breadboard here is a standard one. It's equipped with two power rails, one at the top, one at the bottom. Each power rail has two lines. One is marked with the red line and the other one is marked with the blue line. At the middle of the breadboard, you see four sections of connecting pins, 63 pins each. This is where we connect our components: diodes, resistors, capacitors, and so on. First off, for our full wave bridge rectifier, let's connect the AC power supply first. To do that, I will need to connect a jumper wire from the out pin of the function generator, which will serve as the positive terminal of the power supply or power AC power supply, to the breadboard. I will connect this jumper cable to the top power rail used on the red line, like that. And then the negative terminal, which is the ground pin here on the function generator, I will connect one more jumper wire, and this one I will connect to the bottom power rail on the blue side this time around, like that. So here, this one completes the connection of our power supply. Now let's take a look at the components, our diodes. Here, as shown in the previous part of the video, we will be using 4 diodes in this circuit. Here I have diode 1, this one is diode 2, diode 3, and diode 4. As you can see here, diodes 1 and 2 are connected in series. Same, diodes 3 and 4 are also connected in series. Diodes 1 and 2 forms the first branch of the bridge. Diodes 3 and 4 forms the second branch of the bridge. Now, with regards to the connection of their anodes and cathodes, you can see here, diodes 1 and 2, their cathodes are facing away from each other, while for diodes 3 and 4, their cathodes are facing towards each other. Now, the cathode of diode 1 and the anode of diode 3 is connected to the positive terminal of our power supply, the out pin of our function generator. And what I need to do now is connect the cathode of diode 2 and the anode of diode 4, to the negative terminal of the power supply, which is the ground pin you see here. To do that, I would need 2 jumper wires. Connected in this manner. There. With the use of these 2 jumper wires, I have now connected the cathode of diode 2 and the anode of diode 4 to the negative terminal of our AC power supply. Now, This one completes the connection of the bridge to the power supply. Let's now connect the load. As mentioned earlier in this video, for the load, we will be using a 4.7 kilo ohm resistor, which I have here on the right. This resistor or this load would need to be connected to the typical terminals of bridge circuits, which is between diodes 1 and 2 and between diodes 3 and 4. In order to do that, I will be needing a couple of more jumper wires. The top pin of the resistor will be connected here between diodes 3 and 4. And the bottom pin of the resistor will be connected here between diodes 1 and 2. Like that. Once this is done, our full wave bridge rectifier is more or less complete. Now, to measure to generate the input and output waveforms, we would need to use the oscilloscope of our COM3 lab, which is located here at the top. Now, to generate the waveforms, I would need to connect some jumper wires on these pins, Y1 and COM. This oscilloscope is equipped with two channels. The first channel is Y1, the second channel is Y2. They share the same common or ground here with COM. For this video, I will not be using Y2 because I need just one channel from the oscilloscope. So my jumper wires now will connect here at Y1. Like that. And another jumper wire will connect here at the COM. Like that. Now, to measure the output, or let's start with the input first. To measure the input waveform, I would need to connect these two wires to where the function generator is connected, which actually serves as the input of our circuit. Now, how is that done? The positive or Y1 of the Y1 wire of the oscilloscope would need to be connected to where the positive terminal of the function generator is connected, like that. And the common wire of the oscilloscope would need to be connected where the ground wire of the function generator is connected. Like that. Now, if I connect the oscilloscope wires here on this particular section of the breadboard, use the companion software of the COM3 lab board here, I will be able to generate the input waveform of this circuit. To measure the output, I would just need to transfer the Y1 wire and the COM wire of the oscilloscope to the resistor here on the right. For the output waveform, the Y1 wire of the oscilloscope would need to be connected to the top leg of the resistor, like so. And the COM wire of the oscilloscope would need to be connected to the bottom wire or the bottom leg of the resistor, as you see there. What you see here now is the interface of the companion software for COM3 Lab. Here, we can set the function generator and generate the output waveform for our oscilloscope. Let's set the function generator first. For our demo, our function generator will need to be set to 60 Hz frequency. Set it to 60 first. There. 10 volts peak to peak and sine wave, which already been selected here. Afterwards, we need to set the oscilloscope. You open the oscilloscope first.
Let's move the function generator a bit down. Here. Now, for our oscilloscope, we'll just be using Y1. So Y1 is checked, and there's no check here on Y2. So what I will do now, let me generate the output waveform first, or I'm sorry, the input waveform first. Then we will try to make adjustments on the setting if needed. By the way, my oscilloscope Y1 and COM connection is actually connected to the function generator, which means the waveform you're going to see right now is the input waveform of the circuit. Let's generate that waveform. Preview. Right. Now, it means the horizontal division, time division is not correct. Let me just adjust it. Make it higher, maybe around 10 milliseconds. There, let me make some more adjustment. 5 milliseconds I think would be better. There. Now, as expected, in the input, as mentioned the function generator, we selected the sine wave with the 10 volts peak-to-peak amplitude. Actually, we can actually measure that or confirm that 10 volts peak-to-peak through the use of the cursors of the oscilloscope. We do it in this way. I'll first put it in one sweep, like that. And position the cursor on the top peak of the wave, like so. The red one, and the blue one on the bottom peak of the wave. So. And the peak-to-peak voltage can be measured through the values of the numbers here at the bottom. Y1, red, represents the horizontal position of the Y1 cursor. And the Y1 blue represents the position of the Y1 blue cursor here at the bottom. What we need to do is actually subtract the values we see here. It says here 4.94 and negative 5.06 volts for Y1 blue. So if I subtract 4.94 with negative 5.06, I would get exactly 10 volts peak to peak, which is the setting of our function generator. Now, let's now transfer the output waveform or the oscilloscope connection to generate the output waveform. In this case, I would need to transfer the oscilloscope connection, Y1 and COM, to the load resistor. Let's do that now. I have just connected the Y1 and COM connection of the oscilloscope to the load resistor. Let's see the output. I'll select run. There. Now, in comparison with the input, which is AC, which is alternating, this output waveform is now DC. It's not alternating anymore because nothing now is going to the negative part or the negative section of the oscilloscope timeline. As you can see right here, everything is positive. Let me just put it in one sweep. There. Everything is positive. Positive waveform, 0. Positive waveform, 0. Positive waveform, 0. So, the output right now is DC, as measured from the load resistor. Now, the output waveform shown here is an intermittent pulsating waveform. What do I mean by that? The output is still hitting 0, then going back to positive, then hitting 0 again, then going back to positive. In most cases, this type of output for rectifiers is undesirable. We don't want this. What we need is either a pure positive or a pure negative waveform for the output. In order to do that, we need to connect another element to our circuit, which is known as a filter. The implementation of a filter is done through a capacitor. We need to connect a capacitor in parallel with our load resistor to correct this output from a pulsating wave intermittent to a non-pulsating intermittent wave once the filter has been added. As mentioned earlier, to connect a filter to the full wave bridge rectifier we have here, we would need to connect a capacitor in parallel with the load resistor in our circuit. To do that, in this demo, we will be connecting 3 capacitors with different values. The one here on the left, or on your right, is a 1 microfarad capacitor. The one at the middle is a 10 microfarad capacitor. The one here on your left is a 100 microfarad capacitor. What we will do is that we will connect these capacitors one by one and compare their output waveforms. Let us now connect our first capacitor. We need to connect the capacitor on the free pin across the gap, as you see there, and connect it in parallel to the load resistor using jumper cables. The first jumper cable here will connect to the top leg of the resistor. The second jumper cable here at the bottom would connect to the bottom leg of the resistor. We have now connected a 1 microfarad capacitor to our circuit. As mentioned earlier, this capacitor is now acting as a filter connected to the output. Let us generate the waveform, output waveform in particular, now with that filter connected. Now, as you can see here, in the output waveform, it's now purely positive. Nothing in that waveform is hitting zero, the zero line of the oscilloscope, which means we have removed or we have eliminated the intermittent pulsating nature of the output voltage with the use of a filter. However, this output is still undesirable. Why is that so? The output waveform has ripples still on it. If I do something like this, measure the peak-to-peak value of this output waveform, or the voltage peak-to-peak value of this output waveform, I would get a value between a little under 2.5 volts. We call that one the ripple voltage of the output waveform. In a basic DC power supply, the ripple voltage should be equal to 0, meaning the output should be a straight line, constant DC supply voltage, straight line. Right now, the output waveform still has ripples. Now, let us see what happens if I increase the capacitance in the filter. Let's do that now. I will replace the 1 microfarad capacitor with a 10 microfarad capacitor. Now we have a 10 microfarad capacitor in the circuit. Let's generate the output waveform this time around. Here. Now, you can actually compare from the one before with the 1 microfarad capacitor with this one with the 10 microfarad capacitor. You can see now that the output waveform is flatter, meaning the ripple voltage is smaller. We could actually compute for that by doing the same thing we did earlier, by taking the peak-to-peak value of this waveform, which is measured in volts. That's 3.63, as you can see at the bottom, minus the blue value, the vertical position of the blue cursor, 3.31. That's less than 0.5 volts, around 0.32 volts. Okay, from 2.3 volts earlier with the 1 microfarad capacitor to something less than 0.5 volts. So what happened when I increased the capacitance, the output waveform became flatter and the ripple voltage came closer to 0. Let us continue increasing the capacitance value of the filter. This time around, I will connect a 100 microfarad capacitor to our output. I have now replaced the 10 microfarad capacitor with a 100 microfarad capacitor. Let's see the output waveform now. There. It's almost a straight line. Okay? However, this output waveform is still undesirable because it still contains, as you can see here, it still contains ripples. What we need is a straight line, a real pure straight line for the output. Okay? Actually, at this point, even if I continuously increase the capacitance, still ripples will appear on the output waveform. Why is this so? Because our circuit still lacks one important component to be added after the filtering capacitor.
As we saw in the demo, even if we continuously increase the capacitive filter value connected in parallel to our circuit, the output voltage waveform will still contain ripples on it. Given that basic DC power supply circuits would need a constant voltage on the output, there is still something missing in our circuit. This block diagram shows what is missing. We have a rectifier in our circuit, which is the full wave bridge rectifier. We have the filter in our circuit, which is our capacitor. However, our circuit does not have this last item, which is a regulator. Now, how is a regulator implemented in our circuit? Let us see. The schematic diagram you see here shows the actual implementation of the basic DC power supply circuit you saw on the previous slide. Here, you could also see the transition of the waveforms from the input, which is a sine wave, alternating current, to the output, which is a pure DC signal, constant DC signal on the output. On the left here, we have the input, AC signal. We have the bridge rectifier here, the full wave bridge rectifier. After that, we see the filtering capacitor and the regulator circuit after that. As you can see here, the regulator circuit makes use of an integrated circuit, the 7805 integrated circuit, and capacitors connected on its output. This regulator circuit will be in charge of converting the pulsating signal or output signal coming from the filtering capacitor to a pure DC signal on the output here at the end. With that, I would like to conclude the video for today. And as always, I would like to encourage everyone to keep experimenting, keep learning, and hope to see you next time here in Derricktronic.